The night started like any other, just laughter, the low hum of conversations, and glasses clinking in a downtown bar. But within seconds, the atmosphere shifted. At a corner booth, a woman sat alone, her tailored blazer and calm demeanor standing out from the casual Friday crowd. She was a CEO, the kind of woman who carried herself with quiet authority. But tonight, she wasn't in a boardroom, she was just another person, trying to exhale after a long week. That's when it happened. Two men, both trained fighters, black belts, slid into the booth beside her. At first, it looked harmless, maybe even friendly. But then the tone changed. Their voices grew louder, words sharper. They cornered her, blocking her from leaving, their confidence fed by the attention of a few amused onlookers. You could feel the tension ripple through the bar. People saw it, but nobody moved. Maybe they thought it wasn't their problem. Maybe they were afraid. And that's when he stood up. From a bar stool near the jukebox, a man in a worn leather jacket rose slowly. His presence didn't scream for attention, but his steps were deliberate, steady. A single dad, a veteran, the kind of man life had beaten down but never broken. He didn't start with words. He didn't puff his chest. He simply walked closer, and when the sleeve of his jacket pulled back, the dim bar lights caught it, ink on his forearm. A tattoo, sharp and unmistakable, the insignia of the Marine Corps. The room froze. The laughter died. Even the music seemed quieter. The two black belts glanced at the tattoo, then at him. They weren't facing just another stranger anymore. They were facing someone who had seen real combat, who had fought battles far beyond barroom bravado. The veteran didn't raise his fists. He just looked them in the eyes and said quietly, "That's enough. Let the lady go." His voice carried a weight heavier than any punch. And for the first time that night, the two men hesitated. The confidence drained from their faces. They weren't afraid of his strength, they were afraid of his certainty. Slowly, they stood, muttering excuses, and slipped out the door into the night. The bar exhaled as if it had been holding its breath. The CEO looked up at him, stunned. She wasn't used to being saved. She was the one people usually leaned on. And in that moment, she realized something powerful: no title, no wealth, no position could protect you in every situation. Sometimes, it came down to the humanity of a stranger. She whispered, "Thank you." The veteran simply nodded. No need for recognition, no need for applause. He returned to his stool like nothing had happened. But the impact didn't end there. The bartender comped his drink. A couple in the corner raised their glasses in silent respect. And the CEO? She left the bar that night not just with gratitude but with a shift in perspective. Weeks later, she launched a mentorship program at her company for veterans. Helping men and women like the one who stood up for her transition back into civilian life. One act of courage sparked a ripple that changed lives far beyond that bar. Sometimes, the strongest thing a person can do isn't throwing a punch, it's standing up when no one else will. And in that dimly lit bar, a single dad with a core tattoo reminded everyone of something the world too often forgets. Heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they just wear worn jackets, carry quiet scars, and choose kindness when it matters most, because in the end, it's not about strength or status, it's about humanity. And one small act of courage can turn a cold night into a story of hope. The CEO sat in her car for a long time that night, her hands gripping the steering wheel, the echo of the bar still fresh in her mind. She kept seeing his face, the calm eyes, the steady voice, the tattoo that silenced a room. For years, she'd lived in a world of contracts, quarterly reports, and endless meetings. But what happened that night stripped everything back to something raw and real. She thought about the way everyone else froze, about how easy it was to look away when someone else was in trouble. And then she thought about him, the man who couldn't look away, who had already seen enough in his life to know that silence can sometimes be as dangerous as action. In the days that followed, she couldn't shake the thought. She had access to resources, influence, and a platform, yet she realized she'd never used them to help the very people who had given so much for her freedom. That veteran in the bar wasn't just a man stepping in at the right time. He was a reminder that courage isn't about medals or boardrooms, it's about the choices you make when no one else will. A week later, she picked up the phone. Calls were made, meetings set. She began working with local organizations that supported veterans. What started as a single idea grew quickly into a program designed to provide career mentorship, counseling, and opportunities for single parents who had served. She named it The Second Watch, because even after their service, veterans deserved someone watching out for them.